Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 1st of June, first day of summer, so let me wish you great summer holidays. Now it's almost 12 o'clock, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update today, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me make a little announcement. Towards the end of this update, I will share with you video which is about 10 minutes, and in that video you will see footage of our travel from Moscow region, from Moscow to North Ossetia, Alania, where we are right now, me and my family members. Many of you did ask me to make such a video, and I will share it today. You will see footage not just from the road itself, but also from Vladikavkaz, capital of North Ossetia. Yesterday afternoon we went to city and make some short video, but this is just the beginning. During our stay in North Ossetia, I will of course make much more additional content, and I will share it not just on Patreon but also here on main channel on YouTube and on Rumble, of course. And when it comes to second update, it will be on Patreon a little bit late in the afternoon today, and I will share on Patreon not just additional news that will be reported by Russian media, but also video footage, exactly the same kind of video footage, but it will be a little bit longer about our travel and about city of Vladikavkaz. But as I said, this is just the beginning. Much more extra content will be in short time. Will be made in short time. That's been said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with Belgorod region of Russian Federation, because many Russian language media outlets and Russian language pages are reporting that during the previous night, armed forces of Ukraine did conduct a massive shelling of this region, especially in the direction of Shebekino, settlement of Shebekino and surrounding areas, and some sources even report that quite a large unit of Ukrainian armed forces breached the border and enter Belgorod region. And we have here statement from operational headquarters of Belgorod region, according to which, and this reported by TASS news agency, so according to this statement, border was not breached and situation is under full control of Russian side. Understandable statement from Russian officials, because of course they want to make sure that society is calm, and they don't want some panic mode to be generated. But same time, there are some other sources that are reporting that right now, at this moment, some heavy clashes are taking place in on the border between Russian Belgorod region and Kharkov region of Ukraine, and the Russian side is trying to neutralize mechanized units of Ukrainian armed forces that are trying to enter Belgorod region. Let me show you on the map this area. So this is, by the way, Kharkov region here, which is under air raid alert right now, and this is Belgorod region here, and that's Shebekino settlement, which is under shelling and surrounding areas. And even this pro-Ukrainian map is acknowledging some close range fight between the sides. As you can see here, this pro-Ukrainian map is reporting that Ukrainian forces enter Russian territory in Belgorod region, but Russian side, as I just reported, Russian side denied this information, and they are saying that situation is under full control. Anyway, we can say that during the previous weeks, Zelensky's regime, armed forces of Ukraine that are still loyal to Zelensky and his associates, are conducting quite large-scale operations in direction of Belgorod region. They are shelling constantly borderline settlements of Russia, and basically what they are doing, in my reading of this picture, is that they are at one hand they are trying to divert attention from possible upcoming counteroffensive, local scale counteroffensive of Ukrainian armed forces in direction of Azov Sea. That's one way to see it. And they are diverting attention, of course, from disaster that struck Zelensky's regime in Artyomovsk or Bakhmut. But same time, I think Zelensky's regime, by acting this way extremely aggressively in direction of Belgorod region, are trying to provoke Russia. They are trying to provoke Moscow to use some extreme force so that Zelensky will have more opportunities to ask his Western masters for money and weapons. That's what really is happening, because from military standpoint, all military experts, Russian military experts, experts from the West, independent experts, are saying that from military standpoint, all these Ukrainian operations have no meaning. It's just kind of a smokescreen for something else. And yes, because Belgorod region is constantly in the news, we can say that Moscow probably already are feeling pressure from Russian society, because it's understandable probably that citizens of Russia are not very happy that this region and other regions of Russian Federation that are bordering Ukraine are constantly under fire. And you can see on Telegram channels and many other pages on internet more and more angry statements from ordinary Russian citizens. And not just that, but for example, today morning I did saw on one of the Telegram channels episode of TV program on Russian Federal channel, in which experts were openly discussing possibility of use of nuclear weapons. And that was happening on Federal Russian TV channel. And one of the experts were comparing current situation of Russia with the boxer. It may be not exactly the best comparison, but still, he was comparing current situation of Russia with the boxer that is in a ring and forced to not use his hands and fight that way. And he was saying, why we need nuclear weapons if we cannot use it to defend our country? What is the point then to have a nuclear weapon at all? And I guess many citizens of Russian Federation will agree with this kind of statements. And that's exactly why I was saying for many months now that by this constant escalation from the Western elites, and we of course all understand that this kind of any operations basically that Zelensky's regime is conducting is under heavy coordination or heavy control of Western elites and militaries and secret services of US and UK. So I was saying for quite a while now that this constant escalation from Western elites may force Moscow to a corner from where high-ranking Russian officials may not see any other way out other than use of extreme force. And now we are seeing on Russian federal channels discussion about possibility of use of nuclear weapons, which is, extremely dangerous. Which is extremely dangerous, and probably we will all agree on that. Of course, I don't think that Russia will use nuclear weapons in this situation, but as I said, West is constantly escalating, and at one point, who knows what kind of decisions will be made in Russia if nothing changes, if nothing will change. So as you can see, by the way, entire central and southeastern part of Ukraine is under air raid alert right now, and during the previous night, according to some reports, Russian side did conduct missile strikes on military and logistical infrastructure of Zelensky's regime not just in western and eastern parts of Ukraine, but also in direction of Kiev. And according to reports from Ukrainian side, they did shut down 100% of missiles. They were talking about Iskander missiles, but I don't think they were able to shut down even 50% of those missiles. So during the day, we'll probably learn some more about targets that were struck by Russian side. There are some reports, unconfirmed reports, that Russian militaries use Iskander missiles to strike underground bunkers of command and control centers of where command and control centers of Zelensky's regime are located. But yet again, this information is unconfirmed. So during the day, we will probably learn some more. And as I said, right now, almost half of Ukraine is under air raid alert, and maybe these strikes will continue during the daytime also. Let me continue now, and this is RIA Novosti's report, which is about also Shebekino area of Belgorod region. And according to Russian officials, for this moment, 8 civilians have been wounded as a result of heavy artillery shelling from Ukrainian armed forces. Let me continue. This is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Peskov, press spokesman of Russian president, stated that Putin, president of Russian Federation, is receiving in real-time information about situation in Belgorod region and in Shebekino area. And well, once again, I am going back to this point that, as I said, one day Moscow may find itself in a situation when there will be no other way out other than use of extreme force. Because, I mean, just imagine what is going on in mind of Putin right now. He has on his hands all the necessary means to destroy Zelensky's regime in about half an hour's time by using extreme force. He can destroy Zelensky's regime and Ukrainian armed forces in about half an hour's time. But he have to find the reasoning to not use this extreme force, when he probably perfectly well informed that society is getting more and more anxious about all this situation. And one more point, many of you probably do remember that for quite a few months now I was saying that me personally, I do expect that Russian side will conduct a second wave of mobilization. And I think this situation that is developing in Belgorod region may force Kremlin to conduct one more wave of mobilization to make sure that there is enough reserves so that entire borderline is safe and secure. So let's see, in coming days or weeks, probably we will see, that's my guess by the way, or my prediction, so probably we will see one more wave of mobilization. And in Russian language sources, in Russian language pages on different internet platforms, recently, yet again, this topic of mobilization is becoming quite relevant and active, and some experts are even openly are saying that up to 1.5 million reservists should be mobilized. Some are talking about 2 million reservists to be mobilized to make sure that there is enough forces to achieve all the main goals of special military operations. And even Prigozhin, as I understand it, spoke about this topic, and he was saying that more than 1 million reservists should be mobilized. So let's see how will situation develop, but I think Moscow may conduct one more wave of mobilization in coming weeks, and this will help Russian side to use already mobilized use units that are created by already mobilized reservists, so that newly mobilized will take the place of previous ones. So Russian side will have more room for maneuver in that case. But yet again, let's wait and see. But in my opinion, mobilization will take place, and it's probably necessary at this point, because it's clear that front line is too wide, it's huge, and Russian armed forces just don't have enough manpower. That's clear to me, at least. Russian armed forces just don't have enough manpower to secure not just the front line, but also borderline of Russian Federation with Ukraine. Let me continue. After all, Russian army has only little bit more than 1 million personnel, and few 100,000 of them are conscripts, and they cannot be sent on the front line. And right now, Russian side only Russian armed forces only operating with volunteers and with soldiers that have a contract with professional soldiers. So I guess mobilization is necessary to support Russian army. Let me continue now, and this is RIA Novosti's report, exactly about what I just said a few minutes ago. There were air raid alerts this morning twice, and during the previous night, Russian side, as I said, did conduct missile strikes all around Ukraine, and Kiev was included. And as I said, according to some reports, bunkers were struck where command and control centers of Zelensky's regime were located. But yet again, this information to be confirmed by Russian Defense Ministry, because it's just rumors that are circulating on internet right now. So this is RIA Novosti's report, according to which Denis Pushilin, head of DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, did made a statement that Mariinka is one of the major directions now for Russian side in Donetsk direction, because this town has significant strategic importance, and according to Denis Pushilin, Russian side will try to establish full control of the Mariinka in nearest future. And let me show you on the map this area. This is Mariinka, by the way. As you can see, majority of the town is under control of Russian side, but some part, about 20-30%, is under control of excuse me, Zelensky's regime. And I guess in coming days we will see significant activization of Russian forces in direction of Mariinka and in direction of Avdiivka. Also, we already have some indications that activization or offensive operations of Russian side in these directions have already begun. And if you remember, I was predicting this, that once situation around Bakhmut or Artyomovsk will be resolved, then Russian side will definitely try to establish control or become much more active in the direction of Mariinka and Avewerki, and exactly this is happening. And we have here a statement from head of Akhmat Special Forces, Aladinov, who said that Akhmat Special Forces are right now conducting preparations to become not just more active, but to conduct offensive operations in DPR. So I guess Akhmat Special Forces will operate exactly in the direction of Mariinka and maybe Avewerki also. And yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, Prigozhin did make statement about deployment of Akhmat Special Forces on the front line, and he said that this unit has every opportunity to conduct successful offensive operations. So, and me personally, I also have no doubt that Akhmat Special Forces are able to conduct successful operations in any terrain, especially in the urban areas. So let's see yet again how situation will develop. But it was expectable that after situation did resolve in the Bakhmut direction, Mariinka and Avewerki would be next. And I also expect activization of Russian forces in direction of Chisov Yar, and which is here, by the way. And in coming weeks, I think Chisov Yar will become a hot point, Konstantinovka also, and I have very same prediction for Seversk, Liman direction, and Kupiansk direction. And Kupiansk direction is becoming much more important right now because of this heavy shelling of Belgorod region. So Russian side may conduct some offensive operations in Kupiansk direction even earlier than they were planning it, to make sure that there are some buffer zone between Kharkov region and the border of Russian Federation, to stop this constant shelling of Belgorod region and attempts from Ukrainian side to penetrate in Russian territory and to conduct some sabotage activity there. So as we can see, situation is becoming more and more active all along the front line, and I guess summertime will be very hot in every sense of this word. And yet again, nowhere to see announced counteroffensive of Zelensky's regime, which may never come, because Zelensky, it will be a suicidal operation for Zelensky and his associates if they use last reserves that they have to conduct counteroffensive in direction of Azov Sea to cut this land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia. But yet again, they are under heavy pressure of the Western masters in Washington and London, and I don't know how long they will refuse to start this offensive local scale offensive operations. Let me continue now, and that's quite strange and funny, if I may say this way. News that are reported by our team. According to this article, Zelensky issued ultimatum to Nato, and this article is based on information of Financial Times, according to which Zelensky did warn leaders of NATO member states that he will not participate in next meeting of heads of members of NATO states if Ukraine will not receive membership roadmap to NATO. And well, how are you gonna comment this? Zelensky can say whatever he wants, but according to NATO's rules, country cannot become member of NATO if that country has some territorial issues or are involved in military conflict. So Ukraine in no way, in no circumstances can become a part of member of NATO, at least before this conflict will end. And before Kyiv will recognize that Crimea, Zaporozhye region, Kherson region, Donetsk People's Republic and Lugansk People's Republics are part of Russia. And of course Zelensky's regime will never recognize this. So Ukraine will never become part of NATO. And to be honest, if you ask me, I think days of Ukraine statehood is numbered, and after this conflict will end, there will be no Ukraine as a state, no more. So Ukraine will never become a part of NATO. Some parts of Ukraine may be, western parts of Ukraine, that will join Poland, Hungary, Slovakia maybe, and Romania. Those parts in the west of Ukraine will join NATO, yes, but not Ukraine as a state. And you may be surprised, but Foreign Minister of Germany, Annalena Baerbock, did said that NATO cannot discuss to receive any new members in organization as long as conflict in Ukraine is continuing. And of course she is talking about Ukraine, even without mentioning that it's about Ukraine. That's quite surprising, because this person, Annalena Baerbock, is famous for extremely uneducated and inadequate statements, and whenever he says something more or less adequate, I mean, you are surprised. That was my reaction. That's why I'm sharing with you this information. So, I mean, probably she has one or two more or less capable advisors, and they did write for her some speech. So let me continue. This is TASS News Agency's report, according to which RosAtom did make statement that about 800 workers, employees in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant have been forced to refuse to work on the power plant because of threats from Zelensky's regime. So you tell me what kind of regime is running Ukraine. They are terrorizing civilians. They are terrorizing civilians constantly, day by day, everywhere they can. And this is one more example of that. They did terrorize staff of Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and they are refusing to work. And of course, for Russian side, it's not big deal. Russia has plenty of specialists that can operate on nuclear power plant, but fact itself does highlights what kind of individuals are Zelensky and his associates and the Western masters. Okay, let me continue. This is TASS News Agency's report about new military aid package for Ukraine. As I understand, this time this package will be about $300 million, and Zelensky's regime will receive mainly ammunition for Himars systems, for artillery, for Patriot air defense systems. Zelensky's regime will also receive Avengers air defense system and some Manpads, which is very bad for this world, because I guess a lot of these weapons, especially Manpads, will end up on the black market and eventually in hands of criminal groups or terrorist groups. But, you know, as I said, Western elites have no brakes. They cannot stop unless Russia will stop them forcefully. And before that day comes, we will see this kind of news regularly, that US is sending yet another military and financial aid package to Zelensky's regime, UK doing exactly the same, Germany, France, Italy, and yes, as I said, even though Western states, citizens of Western states, especially low and middle income households, have plenty of problems, Western elites don't really care about it. They are continuing to use taxpayers' money to prolong this conflict in Ukraine. That's unfortunate reality. And this is RIA Novosti's report, which is quite strange, because according to this information, Macron did make statement that if Zelensky's counteroffensive, if announced counteroffensive of Ukrainian forces will fail, then West would be forced to reconsider its level of support towards Zelensky's regime. And very same time, Macron said that West will do everything to support Zelensky's regime in terms of achieving success in its counteroffensive. So quite strange statements from Macron. He's kind of contradicting to himself, but same time, probably we can say that he's partially honest here, because when Zelensky's regime will fail in its counteroffensive, and this will definitely happen, they have no chance to achieve any success whatsoever, then Western elites probably will be forced to see reality a little bit more clearly. And in that case, they will be forced to reconsider their support to Zelensky and his associates. That's simple stuff. We don't really need Macron or any other war criminal and mass murderer from Western elites to say so, you know. Let me continue now, and this is RIA Novosti's report, according to which Russian Foreign Ministry will close, as I understand, will close few diplomatic offices of Germany in response of decision of Berlin to close 4 Russian missions, diplomatic missions in Germany. And yes, Foreign Ministry of Russian Federation is saying that Berlin did made one more not friendly step towards Russia. Yes, that's the way it is, and you not expect anymore any adequate steps from Western elites. And you may not familiar with information, but yesterday some media outlets did report that Berlin made decision to shut down 4 Russian consulates in Germany. And of course, Russian side will respond in exactly the same manner, and German consulates will be shut down in Russia. And eventually, this level of deterioration of relationships between Russia and Western states will probably lead to full cut of diplomatic ties between the states. That's at this stage, this is a possibility. that we will end up in a situation when Western states, and at least some Western states and Russia, will have no diplomatic relationships at all. And this is RIA Novosti's report, according to which US did officially confirm that Chinese defense minister refused to have a meeting with his colleague from US. Well, China is in position to ignore US completely, really. And maybe US elites or Western elites don't like it. Maybe they are mad about it. But well, China for this moment probably are only country that are untouchable, really, for the West, because they are too dependent on China and Chinese economy. And just imagine what will happen to world economy if Western elites will impose on China same sanctions that they impose on Russia. Western economies will collapse straight away. So China is very, in much more different situation that Russia is. In that sense, because Chinese economy is much bigger and much stronger, and Western economies are extremely dependent on Chinese manufacturing capacities and Chinese technologies even. So yes, Chinese leadership can ignore Western leaders, and it's not surprising to me, at least. And by the way, and of course, we all understand that China is the main target for Western elites. We all know this. So Chinese leadership does know it also, and they may don't want to play these quasi games with the enemy, because it's obvious that China and Western elites are enemies. It's just too simple. And as I said, I'm not surprising that Chinese are beginning to act towards Western elites as they deserve. And by the way, this is RIA Novosti's report, which is quite interesting, because according to Millennio newspaper, as I understand, that's Italian newspaper, some groups, some cartels, Mexican cartels, drug cartels, have now on its disposal anti-tank FGM 148 anti-tank systems. They are saying it's javelin, but when I see this footage here, it resembles not javelin, but it resembles 84 Swedish anti-tank weapon. So in that sense, maybe it was mistake, but you can clearly see here.
En redes sociales muestra una persona portando un javelin.
That this person, which is a member of one of the cartels in Mexico, carrying anti-tank weapon on its shoulder, and for me it does resembles 84 grenade launcher, anti-tank grenade launcher, which is made by Sweden and US. It's that's look of it. So it's not exactly javelin, but still it's once again, this information highlights dangers that this constant supplement of Western weaponry to Zelensky's regime is creating for a world, because if these heavy, extremely dangerous weapons are in hands of Mexican cartels, then where is the guarantees that very same weapons will not end up in hands of extremists and terrorists all around the world, including in the Western states itself? There is no such guarantees, isn't it? But yet again, do Western elites care about it? Do they care about security and safety of citizens of Western states? I don't think so, really, because Western elites not acting like they do care. They are endangering their fellow citizens almost on daily basis. So let me continue, and this is quite interesting information. TASS news agency is reporting that Putin had a meeting with the president of Eritrea, and there were some agreements being made between the sides about trade and economical deepening of economical ties, and I guess, and by the way, name of president of Eritrea is Isaias Afewerki. So during the meeting, they did reach agreement on several directions, and countries did agree to deepening trade relationships, economical ties, and I guess because of strategic location of Eritrea, which is on the Red Sea, here. I guess in coming years, that's Eritrea, by the way, on the Red Sea, and in coming years we may see Russian naval base on Eritrea if relationships between the sides will truly reach some high levels. And as you know, Russia did have the agreement with Sudan to establish naval base there, and which is also on the coast of Red Sea. But as you know, recently there were some devastating internal clashes between Sudanese army and some special forces. There were internal conflict there, probably not without Western involvement. And I guess Russia is now looking for alternatives, and Eritrea may be that kind of alternative. So Russia will have a naval base, and that's my reading of the picture. But because this trade route is extremely important, and Red Sea security of these trade routes are extremely important, Russia may try to establish naval base in the Red Sea. So when I see this information that Russian president did meet with president of Eritrea, first thing on my mind was that Russia will probably build naval base there, or at least try. So let me continue. How long is this video? 43 minutes. Wow. So few more informations, and then I will share that video that I did promise about travel and Vladikavkaz. So this is Kommersant newspaper reporting about Brics summit that may change its location. Next summit, as you know, leaders of Brics did agree to have a summit in South Africa, but because of decision of International Criminal Court, political decision of International Criminal Court to issue arrest warrant on Russian president, South African Republic end up in difficult situation because they are members of that International Criminal Court, and they are, according to this report here, there are discussions now to move location of next BRICS summit, which will take place this summer, from South Africa to China, because China is not member of ICC, and China don't really cares about not just ICC but about Western elites in general. That's how strong China really is. at this point. And I mean, if South Africa will try to distance itself, I mean, to act carefully, let's say this way. We all understand that Western elites have plenty of tools to impose their will on many nations and countries in this world, and maybe South Africa is not in the position right now to withstand Western pressure, and maybe that's why leadership of this country will try to navigate this difficult situation in a way that they can still avoid Western pressure or sanctions even, and same time be a significant member of Brics. So if this information is correct, then I guess decision to move location of next summit of Brics from South Africa to China is the right decision, because Western elites cannot do nothing to China, man, just nothing. And this is gonna be last news for this moment. And according to RIA Novos's report, OPEC refused to give permission to some Western media outlets to be presented on next OPEC summit, which will take place on 4th of June in Vienna, capital of Austria. Which is, it's at one hand, it's a strange decision, because why? But in second hand, this decision thus highlights how untrustworthy Western media outlets, major Western media outlets become, and we are talking about Bloomberg, Reuters, and Wall Street Journal, that did not receive permission to attend this summit. So this kind of decisions once again showcases that Western media outlets are tools in hands of their masters. They're in hands of Western elites, and they cannot be trusted. And I guess OPEC members are strong enough to act this way, and not to be scared that Washington will retaliate in one way or another. So it's quite a strange news, but same time it does highlights how untrustworthy and dangerous Western media outlets become because of this immensely crazy propaganda that they are pushing on the world. So this is it for now. And now let me share with you this video. I will make some comments. That's we are in Moscow. We are moving in direction of train station, and yes. So if I'm not mistaken, that's a building of Foreign Ministry of Russian Federation. That's high-rising building, or maybe not. There are 7 buildings of similar shape, and it's quite easy to confuse which one is which if you are not Moscowite. So this may be hotel, Radisson Hotel, something like that. So you can see a glimpse of Moscow. This is a train station. So we did the in Moscow. Now we are next to Paviletsky station, and from here we will take a train to North Ossetia, Alania, to Vladikavkaz. So in 2 days time we will be in Vladikavkaz. So right now we are at Afewerki station, air station. It does look like a museum, isn't it? But it's a train station. That's countryside. Most of the territory from Moscow to North Ossetia is flatland, more or less. And in North Ossetia, of course, North Ossetia is Northern Caucasus region. So here we do have mountains. That's for sure. This is Don River. At that point we are approaching Rostov city, southern part of Russia. And this is Beslan city. We are, at this point we are in North Ossetia, and this is video footage from Vladikavkaz itself that we made yesterday. We went for a walk in the afternoon, and hello again. Here we are in Vladikavkaz, and this is one of the many quite nice squares or parks in Vladikavkaz. So I will make some footage and you can see on your own. So as I said in that short episode, there are plenty of squares, nice squares and parks in Vladikavkaz. It's a beautiful city. This is the Terek river that crosses Vladikavkaz. And this river is beginning in Georgia, in Daryal Canyon, then crosses border and entering North Ossetia. And as you can see, the river is quite muddy because the snow is melting in the mountains, and there was some heavy rain in previous days, and this is mountain river. So when it comes to Vladikavkaz itself, it's, as I said, beautiful city. It's about 300 to 500,000 residents in the city. Multicultural, multi-ethnic, very nice, very friendly. I truly love this city. So It's and I'm happy that Vladikavkaz and North Ossetia is becoming more and more popular as a tourist destination inside Russia, and thousands and tens of thousands of citizens of Russian Federation from all around Russia, all around the country, are traveling to North Ossetia in summertime, in the wintertime. To have a nice rest. As I said, city is multicultural and multi-ethnic, and everyone lives in peace, and it's a very nice place, really. If you ever visit Russia, I do definitely encourage you to visit North Ossetia, Alania, because you're gonna love it here. It's a great region, wonderful region. All regions are great and wonderful, of course. But because we live in North Ossetia for years, in Vladikavkaz, of course, I am, you know, I have a warm feeling towards. Especially warm feeling towards North Ossetia and Vladikavkaz. It's small streets in central part of the city. City is very green, as you can see. Trees are everywhere, squares, parks. And by the way, this is just a beginning, as I said. In coming days or weeks, of course, I will make additional content. Not just about Vladikavkaz itself, but about North Ossetia, about culture, traditions, history. So I hope you will find it interesting. So yes, that's a little video as I promised. And yes, before our staying here, of course, I will make additional content, and I will try to be creative, so that you will find this channel even more interesting. So this is it for now. Video is very long, sorry for that, but I hope you will find it interesting, and if so, please hit that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos with your friends on platforms that you are active on. And if you think this channel is interesting, useful, and deserves to exist, then please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, buy me a coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.